Welcome to Honey Acres Homestead. More specifically, welcome to my kitchen. Today I want to share 5 recipes that I have in my weekly meal rotation that all center around oats. And I'm talking about rolled oats like you would use for oatmeal. We have a lot of oats here on our homestead, and that is because we buy them in bulk. We can feed them to our animals and often feed them to our chickens. We ferment them and feed them to the chickens. Our goats and alpacas could also eat them, but we also end up eating a lot of oats ourselves. And, well, oatmeal can get kind of boring. So I have found 5 other recipes that my family really enjoys, and the great thing is that all these recipes are really easy to prep ahead of time and to pretty much have completely ready to go for those quick breakfasts, lunches, and snacks. Now, I am forever pursuing being more efficient and productive here on the homestead, as there are so many good things to do during the day. And, well, I have found that if I don't have my meal plans ready to go, that is like the biggest thing that'll derail me during the day, because 3 times a day my family's looking to me and saying, what are we going to eat? So I have come up with a weekly cooking day, and that's usually Wednesday mornings. I will spend my morning in the kitchen prepping pretty much all of our breakfasts and lunches as much as I possibly can for the weekdays. That way, during our busy mornings when we're doing all of our farm chores and trying to get ourselves ready and everybody on the farm ready so we can go start school, breakfast is the easiest part of the morning. It is ready to go, it is quick, it is enjoyable, it's something we like, and we can go on with our morning. And then when we have our lunch break during homeschool, in the middle of homeschool, it's not this long drawn out thing. It's a quick grab it, eat it, and go back to school. So this has made our weekdays 10,000 times better if I just set aside that Wednesday morning to prepare all these meals for the rest of the weekdays. So these specific recipes for oats that I'm about to share with you are recipes that I make very often, some of them weekly and some of them I'll make once every month or two, or it just varies. So let me go ahead and share these recipes with you, and maybe you'll find something that you like and want to try for your own family. All right, recipe number 1, chocolate chip overnight oats. You need 2.5 cups of oats, and this is a recipe that I make pretty much every Wednesday, and we look forward to having it on Thursday morning. This recipe, along with several of these other recipes, are extremely customizable. So basically you add your oats and your milk, and then you can put whatever you want in there, really. This one in particular is kind of like a chocolate chip cookie dough sort of taste, which we really enjoy, so we just make this one every week. So I add 5 teaspoons chia seeds, 3.5 tablespoons of peanut butter, 5 teaspoons of maple syrup, and the chocolate chips. This recipe is extremely easy. You just put it all in this bowl and you stir it up, making sure that peanut butter gets kind of mushed throughout. And this recipe makes about 4 servings. So you just transfer it to a jar, and it almost fits perfectly in one of these mason jars, in a quart jar. And then just put it in the fridge overnight. Hence the name overnight oats, and in the morning it's just ready to go. You don't have to heat it up, it tastes good cold. We usually put some sliced bananas on top of it, and it's just a really easy, yummy breakfast. Alright, recipe number 2 is granola. For this recipe, you need 5 cups of oats, and this recipe is basically what we eat instead of cereal. We don't really buy cold cereal very often. It's kind of expensive and it's hard to find some really good cereal, so this is our substitute. You'll need a cup of honey and a cup of coconut oil, and I just melt both of them on the stove. We have 5-gallon buckets of honey, and after they sit for a while they tend to crystallize, which is no big deal. You just have to heat it up and it turns back into liquid honey. So this is another very customizable recipe. This is what I put in this granola. You can add whatever nuts you like, seeds, and then we always put coconut. I do 2 cups of coconut, and then this is some milled flaxseed, and this is some wheat bran, which is from our own home ground wheat. We sift out the bran in the flour, and I found that this is a great way to use that bran. So you just mix it all into your oats, whatever you decide to put in your granola. Add some cinnamon. Give it a good stir. And then here I'm pouring in that melted honey and coconut oil. And you just want to stir it until it's all evenly dispersed through the granola, so everything is wet with that honey and oil. Transfer it to a baking sheet. It really fills up that baking sheet, but it fits. Bake it for 10 minutes at 325. And after 10 minutes, give it a good stir. You'll see the edges brown a little bit, so just stir it up. Bake it for another 10 minutes. And then when it's done baking, I always transfer it to a big bowl. And then at this point, you can add any dried fruit that you want. I'm doing some cranberries and some raisins, but we've added dried blueberries. Really, whatever you want to do will be great. So here is the finished granola. I let it cool on the counter. I put a paper towel over it and let it cool all the way. And then I transfer it to a Ziploc bag, and it stores really well in the pantry for a long time. Very easy breakfast. You can just pull it out and it's ready to go to put on top of yogurt or milk. So that is a good one for our family. Okay, the next recipe is for energy bites, or sometimes they're called energy balls. And I like to put all my ingredients in a blender first. So you add your oats and your coconut and your peanut butter. And I like to use the blender just to kind of chop up those oats a little bit. I put cinnamon and vanilla, honey, and coconut oil. I just blend it just a little bit. And then I'm adding some pumpkin seeds because we just love pumpkin seeds. And then when you get it to the consistency you like, just put it in a bowl. I'm adding some chocolate chips, and then I'm stirring it up. And then all you need to do is just roll it into little balls and then spread them out on a baking sheet. This recipe makes quite a few, but sometimes I like to double this because these are really easy to eat and really, really great to have on hand. After you roll them all, stick them in the freezer, and then you can throw them in a Ziploc bag. And then I put the Ziploc bag back in the freezer because we like to eat them when they're nice and cold. And they're just such an easy grab and go lunch or snack. My husband loves these, kind of like a healthy dessert. All right, this next recipe is baked cinnamon oats. You need 3 cups of oats. Add your milk. And then I like to use a can of pumpkin, but if you're not a pumpkin fan, you can add 1.5 cups of applesauce or mashed banana, but this is just what we really like, is that pumpkin. You need 3 tablespoons of peanut butter, some salt, some cinnamon, or I used some pumpkin spice, some vanilla, and then here's 1/4 cup of honey, And you just stir it up really well, nice and thoroughly. And spread it out in a casserole dish. And then bake it for 20 minutes in the oven at 375. When it's done baking, I let it cool completely, and then I'll cover it with foil and I'll put it in the refrigerator. And then in the next couple days when we're gonna have it for breakfast, I'll just take it back out of the fridge, heat it up in the oven. And then I love to top ours with cream cheese with a little bit of powdered sugar mixed in. It's almost like a cinnamon roll type of feel to it. It's really good. All right, so there's your cinnamon baked oats. And our last recipe is spiced oat biscuits. It takes 1 cup of oats, but you don't need it quite yet. First you start with your flour, some brown sugar, baking powder, baking soda, salt, cinnamon. And the reason I love this recipe so much is it has clove in it too. It's just such a wonderful flavor. It smells great when they're baking. So whisk all that together. Then you're going to need to cut in a half a cup of cold butter. Until you get a nice, evenly crumbly mixture. Looks something like that. Now you can add those oats in. You're gonna stir in your milk and your honey. And then when you put them on the baking sheet, I don't really squish them together or roll them. I just kind of plop them on there, keep them nice and loose so they look kind of like this. And then you're going to bake them 15 to 20 minutes at 375. Here they are baked. I let them cool completely. And then I put them in a Ziploc bag and I put them in the freezer. And the morning that we'll have them, I'll take them back out of the freezer, put them back on a baking sheet and heat them up. And then I like to top them with honey butter glaze, which is just a nice finishing touch. Well, there you have it. Those are our 5 oat recipes that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and maybe you got an idea for something that you want to try at your own home. If you have another great idea or recipe that is oat related, please let me know in the comments because like I said, I have a lot of oats and I'm always open to finding new recipes myself. Thank you for spending this time with me here at Honeyacres Homestead and I'll see you next time.